the status quo so that they would be able to add value to what is in existence. If I may give you an example, there's a course I teach, which is democratic studies. And part of the question I asked my student in the examination was looking at the democracy we are practicing presently in Nigeria, I feel is not actually addressing our problem. Probably it is an important concept. So I asked the student to critique what we have and also come up with a better democratic model so that probably in the future we can have a democracy which is by Nigerians and it's going to be something, a democracy that is homemade, not a democracy that is, imported. So this is one of the crises we're having in the Nigerian universities or in the education sector. Another problem we're having is the issue of what is entrepreneurship. I think in his first part of his address, he made it very clear that there's a difference between entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship. Because even in the university, we have this myopic understanding of what is entrepreneurship. We see entrepreneurship from the perspective of social sciences, maybe something more related to economics, to accounting, and business, meaning that there is no entrepreneurship in medicine, in engineering, in other field of studies, but it is not true. Entrepreneurship is all-encompassing. It touches every aspect. If you're talking about telemedicine today, you find that there is a blend of engineering, there's technology, there's also the medicine itself. So there's no way we can change. We have to understand that entrepreneurship is not just doing business. Entrepreneurship is to have a mindset that will bring about innovation, creativity in whatever we're doing. It's not restricted to social sciences. And other part of the problem is that in the universities, most of our students graduate with the mindset of wanting to get a job, not actually creating jobs for themselves, because the mindset is, okay, I want to graduate with first class, with a 2-1, and so that I will be able to work in NNPC or CBN and get a very fat salary. The students are not taught to solve problems, because it is in problems that you see opportunities. If you don't solve problem, I don't think you'll be able to make big money. Most entrepreneurs or most industries today we have are earning big money because they are solving big problems. So the institution should have a kind of drive, a change to a refresher course, a training for them, understand it and what is innovation, because I don't expect you to teach when you thought the other semester at the same time you teach it, because there's no any value in it. So with Tongston Entrepreneurship, I think we're going to do more of this. And what I'm happy about is that it's not just restricted to the staff of the staff of entrepreneurship, is going to cut across all disciplines. Every staff of the university, from the discussion I had with you, everyone will have the opportunity of benefiting from the MOU. And not just with Tongston Entrepreneurship, the Center for Entrepreneurship is also open, because I told my Vice Chancellor, we cannot just pass the students to score an A. Let's go for collaborations. Let's sign MOUs. Let's have industries coming in, so that when we understand what is needed in the industry, that is when we give our students the required skills so that they can fit into the industries as soon as they graduate. So I think what Tongston Entrepreneurship is doing is quite timely. We're very grateful, and we'll be doing more and more with Tongston Entrepreneurship This is just the beginning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Yes, I think let me move forward. I think before we take the pictures, he has a flight actually now. He's heading back to Gombe, so that's why I need to quickly go into the work that we are doing with the state government, but also through GOGIS, Gombe State Geographical Information System. Now, it's actually a new agency. It's just like what AGIS is in Nigeria, I mean in Abuja, and before everything used to be done through the Ministry of the State Ministry of Lands and Survey and all of that. But what the creation of GOGIS was almost basically that's to a certain extent that's entrepreneurial thinking in government. And even the way Dr. Kabir functions within GOGIS, he's thinking or he's operating like an entrepreneur within government. And so what has happened, the transformation that has happened from the past 1 year since GOGIS was established to this year, and I think actually it's even the year before a year, right? But sometime around last year, you can clarify. What has happened is that that he has brought in terms of land administration, because any enterprise, even at home, our personal life, all of it, we have to exist within a land, right? Even water is land, because below the surface of water is actually land. It doesn't exist in thin air. But what Dr. Kabir has been doing with the land administration in Gombe has even further pushed the IGR of Gombe and also almost made it much easier for investors like ourselves to come in. And it's as a result of that that even our intention to set up our campus, our first full campus in Nigeria, to be located in Gombe. It was because of the work that they've been doing, and it's something that I think we're in advanced stages now to conclude. And I didn't put it as part of my presentation, but maybe I will put it in the video if there's time of the campus. It's going to be the first of its kind, green, sustainable, eco-friendly campus in Africa. And the design of the campus itself was very deliberate to meet all of the objectives of Tongston. So I'll leave it to Dr. Kabir to see the rain is pouring now. So I'll give it to you, sir.
Good morning to you all. Although my flight is 12 o'clock. Engineer Bello has been following Gombe State government to allocate a plot of land for almost 3 years, I think so. And I was appointed 2 years ago. When Engineer Bello met me, I was highly impressed with the presentation he made regarding Tongston Entrepreneurship. I always advise our graduates to think the box, not to be waiting for government to give you a job. I had never worked with any organization in my life, and I graduated like 17 years ago. I was called to serve in Gombe State. I'm a town planner practicing here in Abuja. So I think I'm the best person to tell our graduates not to wait for government to give you work. If you wait for government to give you work, you won't go to anywhere. Even our children, we should be advising them not to think that they are going to work. They should be thinking, since when they are in primary school, they should be thinking what to do after graduation. So in a nutshell, I'm here to represent my state government because my governor is not convinced with the project. But I was convinced as an independent person, although now I'm a public servant. What I've seen here, the caliber of people sitting here, I'm going to, in fact, I will even call His Excellency. He should try and allocate this plot of land straight to Bello to go and establish this campus in Gombe State. Inshallah, this is my promise for you, and we are going to give you this plot. I'm highly convinced, and the state government is convinced. Thank you so much, because I don't have much time to talk.
Thank you very much. I said earlier that we already signed it last week, so this is the MOU with GSU, and we'll just take a photo.
Yes, so it's time to take a picture, and the CEO, flanked by the representative of the government of the Gombe State, and with the amazing promise. Please, let's appreciate them. Let's appreciate them. This is really impressive. We are really happy to hear this. This is a growth that we have been praying for, and it's happening right in front of us. And then we are happy to be part of history. Now, moving on, there is another MOA with another very impressive company that we have been able to sign, and that is the MOA with Skills Outside School Foundation. And we are going to call on Mrs. Maureen Chukwuemeka, the CEO of Skill Outside School Foundation, to join us in taking a picture for the presentation of the MOA. Please, a round of applause for Ms. Maureen Chukwuemeka.
Okay. All right. So I think we are on the next session already, so I'll keep this quick. So SOS Foundation, Skills Outside School Foundation, they've been in existence for about 8 years, I believe, right? This morning. And they are mainly targeting employability, entrepreneurship, and education. Yes, of course, education. So three E's. And the MOU that we're trying to sign up, we're now, I think we're about to sign. I don't know if they brought the copy, Mr. Ola. Are we signing it here? Or? Okay, all right. So, yes, so basically what they do is they work mainly with people in agriculture and all sorts of businesses, MSMs basically. And how we want to work with them in the next few years is to basically bring, as I said, the entrepreneurial side of what they do, which is the education, enterprise, and the employability side. So for the employability side, is basically helping to transform their participants or their beneficiaries into entrepreneurs that we talked about earlier. So they are entrepreneurial employees basically, regardless of where they exist in the industry. And for the educators or for their stakeholders and educators, for the stakeholders in education, we are going to be helping to transform their teachers to be entrepreneurial, so that, as you know, you can't give what you don't have. So that if you are teaching mathematics, you are teaching mathematics with an entrepreneurial side or business side. If you are teaching science and tech, you're teaching science and tech with an entrepreneurial or business side. Same with citizenship, arts, and every other subject, English, all the subjects in the national curriculum, which is also one of the special things that we have. We have found a way of easily integrating what we have as far as the entrepreneurial thinking into the national curriculum, so that you don't really lose anything that has been already established by the Ministry of Education. So this is something we want to do. And also, even on the assessment side, we want to try and help the students on all of that, so that they can perform in terms of global stages where people really reward business ideas and enterprise ideas. So those are the few things we want to do with them, and it's a long list actually, but because of time, let me allow more to come in.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, I think we have some ambassadors here. So please, if you're here, please can you come up to the stage? Some of our ambassadors, Michael, I see you. Amaka, I see you. Please come to the stage. Okay, as they come up to the stage, as Mr. Bello has said, Skills Society School Foundation is an organization that is into education, entrepreneurship, and employability. So what we basically do is we take students, the participants, through a series of programs, which Mr. Bello does mention. Some of them are entrepreneurship programs, life skill program, and these are some of the ambassadors we have on ground. And some donors before. I can see one of our donors in the house is that. So thank you for coming here. Thank you. He has been so supportive. And helping us with Kebbi State, precisely. Kebbi State. So thank you, Mr. Azufu. We are still hoping to work more with you. Thank you very much. All right. Then these students will be participating in this MOU, this MOA that Tongston is signing with us. You can see all activities. You see them here that Tongston is showcasing. Tongston College, Tongston Institute, Tongston Holdings. So these students will be participating in all the programs that Tongston will be having with us. So thank you, Mr. Bello. Thank you for having this MOU with us, and thank you for participating in development, because when they say development doesn't don't speak to a big organization. It's a small thing you do individually. He's keen into this program because he said he has seen the potential most of our ambassadors have. You know, he's going to take them through this program. The little thing you can do in your streets, the dustbin that is accumulating in your street, what have you done about it? What have you done? Harnessing the little resources. Because most of the things, like you just imagine, as we is on strike, most of them are already in university. In fact, most of them are personals. And because of the program, skills that school has done with them, they can confidently, there's none of them here that is not doing something now. If it's IT, you know, if it's like Michael, I know Michael is into graphics, they are all doing amazing things, even though they are in school. But ASU strike has not limited them. They are going on to do various activities. Some of them are doing internship with some organizations. So, Mr. Bello, thank you very much. And I know that our ambassadors, these are just some of them that attended this program. We have over 100 and something ambassadors. So thank you for the MOA. Thank you for all the activities we'll be doing together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mario. I would like to say that we've already seen the value of what they do actually with their students. This guy here, ECT, is one of their ambassadors actually, and now we've recruited him into Tongston. So he works with us now. He's an employee of Tongston and beneficiary of their system and their organization. So thank you very much, Mario. Thank you.
Please let us appreciate them. Now, this is to tell you that Tongston Holdings, we are not just talking the talk, we are also walking the walk. We don't just come here and say be entrepreneurial, be an entrepreneurial thinker. We're actually partnering with institutions, companies, individuals, people that have this entrepreneurial thinking as part of the core of their existence. And I know one or two people sitting here today, they're already thinking, how can I fit in with this Tongston mindset? It's okay if you have that mindset. Our CEO is here. You can just ask him to make a presentation. Just give him 2 minutes of your time. And I'm telling you, you'll be convinced beyond any reasonable doubt. As far as I'm concerned, he sold this idea to me in just 3 minutes. And after it, I said, look, sir, anywhere you want, just call me, I'll be there. So please, one more time, let us appreciate Tongston Holdings and all the wonderful institutions that we have called out so far. Now, moving on the next thing on our agenda is a keynote address that is going to border on MSMEs as key drivers for growth, ingredient for a bankable and sustainable business venture by none other than Mr. Zulfil Abba, the Managing Director, Petroquib Oil and Gas Services Limited. Please let us appreciate him. He was mentioned earlier on here as one of the wonderful donor and assistant to the company earlier on. So I just think this is befitting. As they have mentioned him, he doesn't need too much of introduction. His action is already speaking for him. Please, one more time. If your hands are not too busy, let us appreciate his presence as he comes forward to make his presentation. We can do better than that. We can do better than that. Let us appreciate him. He is a great man. Thank you for coming, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for this invitation. As you mentioned, my name is Zulkifil Abba. Also Director and Founder of Petroflow Integrated Consultants Limited. Petroquib is one of our companies that we also own. I'm really glad to be here today. This really falls in line with everything I've been thinking about over the last so many years. In fact, I would say I'm a living testimony of developing a business. And the reason why I say that before I start my presentation is I work for government for about 10 years. I worked in FIP, Family Economic Advancement Program, left FIP, went to this National Security Operating and Maintenance Company, worked for a bit, went to NAPEP, then worked with one of the state governors. After that, I resigned and then set up my business. But prior to that, one thing I know I did, and this is where education is key. I've always wanted to venture into the energy sector, which is pretty interesting, oil and gas. So I don't have the knowledge. My background is OAD in accounting, BS in economics. So I went to University of Dundee to study at MSc Energy Economics with specialization in oil and gas management. Set up my company. Got so kind now, I think we're one of the leading consulting companies for subsurface and facilities engineering services in Nigeria today. So thank you very much for that. So I think I'll just go straight forward to my presentation, but as I make it, I might be making some points just to add to what the other speakers have been talking about. So with regards to entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship, particularly I see both as a study of gaps and developing purposeful initiatives and solutions in response to the gaps. In the frame of the worldwide economy, MSMEs cannot compete by looking at the cost and by just cutting it. They must compete on the foundation of competence and value added. And the reason why I say that is running a business is almost about the golden rule, which says do unto others as you want them to do unto you. So whatever you do, make sure you do what is right. One of the challenges we all agree here is that you hardly get a service that you can see you're 100% satisfied in Nigeria. Really. You really have to think very hard to get the right people that will provide you that service. Be it tilers, plumbers, electricians, whatever. So these are some of the issues that you look at it and see what would you want people to do for you that you'll be happy with. You should also provide that service to people. So let me define SMEDAN. I think my topic really is MSMEs as key drivers for growth, ingredients for a bankable and sustainable business venture. So I would like to define what SMEDAN has defined as MSMEs. So according to SMEDAN, National Policy on Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises 2021 provides the following definitions for micro, small and medium enterprises. And it says micro enterprises are those enterprises whose turnover per annum is from 3 million and not exceeding 25 million with a workforce between 3 to 9 employees. Small enterprises are enterprises whose turnover per annum is from 25 million and not exceeding 100 million with a total workforce of above 10, but not exceeding 49 employees. The medium enterprises are those enterprises with turnover per annum from 100 million and not exceeding 1 billion with a total workforce of between 50 and 199 employees. So with all these activities Tongston is doing, I think across the country, you'll be able to really sort of calibrate the system, calibrate the economy, because you can do so many businesses along the chain. I mean, these are things we'll discuss, and I might likely be one of your potential partners, inshallah. So MSMEs as key drivers for growth. So what it says here is that the development of micro, small, and medium enterprises is an indispensable component of Nigeria's economic growth strategy, especially as the government attempts to diversify the economy. According to SMEDAN, MSMEs accounted for 96.7% of businesses in Nigeria, 87.9% of employment, and 49.7% of national GDP as of 2020. This is according to the SMEDAN 2021 survey report. Let me just digress a bit. When I was working with one of the state governors, I remember at that point, we said, look, what can we do to sort of develop the northeastern part of the country? And we decided to say, okay, what's the closest spot? If you have solid minerals or commodities from, say, Adamawa, and you're taking them to Lagos for export, what you find yourself doing is putting those items on a truck, traveling to Lagos over so many days,
putting them on a ship to Europe, and the ship goes round. And what we realize is simple. If you take Calabar Port, that's one aspect. You can build a railway line maybe from Calabar Port through to Benue, Makoti. Report on the theme entrepreneurship and industrialization in Nigeria. It says 22% of Africa's working age population are starting businesses. This is the highest entrepreneurship rate in the world. So the rate of budding entrepreneurs ranges from 9% in Nigeria. Build that trust. So these are some of the companies that we'll be discussing as we progress. So on the topic MSMEs, it demonstrates the continent's entrepreneurial spirit as well as the continent's big young population. It's almost as though every Nigerian stroke African is naturally an entrepreneur. And this is a fact. People have a lot of ideas, they want to do things, even though the economy might be challenging, the policies might be challenging. When you have a team, maybe like the Tongston team, looking at how these issues can be addressed, people have a platform where they can go and have their problems addressed, their problems solved, giving the right advice. I'm sure we can really build solid businesses across the country. So just briefly on the challenges. I mean, these are all things that we know. Accessing finance and markets, infrastructure deficit, power, water, roads, all that. Multiple taxations, technological disruptions. You find yourself working in your office and then all of a sudden the internet is gone. You go to an office, you find you have maybe 5 internet service providers. And you find that at some point, maybe all of them are not working. So these are some of the challenges, but it's all temporary. I think at the right time, all this will be sorted out, inshallah. Of course, you have operating below optimum capacity, and then, of course, regulatory issues. So really, with all this, what do we do? The big question is, what are the fundamental issues that need to be tackled to further strengthen the entrepreneurial process so that those budding entrepreneurs can develop, incubate, back of the requisite business competencies, knowledge, skill, and acumen to effectively manage enterprises, as well as a lack of process and corporate structure. This is why I said, really learning, going to school, understanding these things, training will help entrepreneurs a great deal. Now, what are the ingredients for a bankable and sustainable business venture? I just took them. There are so many, and this is not exhaustive, to be honest. I just took them out, and we can always, sort of buttress on these things. So, just like they mentioned, entrepreneurship training. You need to really understand what you intend to do. It's not just about, I want to do this. How? You need to get trained. You need to understand it. And there's just basic knowledge. It's not good to make things too complicated, having 1 million pages of a document that you don't understand. Make things very simple, you can understand, and then follow it through. So I think for a business to succeed, the first thing you need to do is to have a business plan. And that business plan, if you follow it closely, will address all your issues. Maybe not all, but majority of your issues. One of the key ingredients is definition of the business problem. What do you want to address? Solutions and benefits, industry and marketing size, explanation of the business model, competition and sustainable advantage, sales and marketing strategy, executive team composition. Because for you to really function and have a business, you need to have the right team. So it's always about team. Funding requirements, your funding requirements, financial forecast, and then of course, exit strategy. People build businesses to sell. You set up the structure, set up the business, it will cost you maybe 5 million the business, and you can sell it for 100 million naira once it's working. So people don't have the intellect to set up something, but they're happy to pay for it once they see it working. So these are some of the things that entrepreneurs, tend to do. So of course, I've spoken about technology as well, the need for people to really, sort of use technology to assist their businesses. So I think these are all the issues, financing and business location, relational capital. From my experience, integrity, like I said, matters a lot in business. You find that if you get people to trust you, they will invest in you. And the only way to do that is to show integrity. They give you a penny, they see that you can utilize it judiciously, and you give them feedback. Not that people invest in you and then you give them stories all the time. So really, these are some of the points that entrepreneurs need to really look at. So I came up with possible sectors and possible funding access. You have manufacturing, you have healthcare, you have recycling, you have agriculture, you have ICT, you have fashion, you have wholesale and retail. So there are so many sectors that you can function within the economy. And to be honest, at the end of the day, really, it's about you as a person, your understanding of what you intend to do, and then clearly integrity really matters a lot for people to invest in you. So generally, I was discussing about the railway project that we intended to do. On that railway project, you find that along the route, there is potential for a lot of micro, small, medium enterprises along the route. So these are things also that possibly with Tongston and Gombe State government is something that really can be looked at. So from my experience and from everything that I've done, one thing is to believe in yourself. And believing in yourself means get the training so that by the time you speak, people know you know exactly what you are talking about. After I went for my master's, set up the company, when we started, we realized we didn't have the cash. What did we have then? Intellectual property. We didn't have any money. So we said, okay, how can we use our intellectual property to start the business? And we came in with 3 engineers and myself on the commercial side, set up the company, and we started working without paying ourselves. So we do the work, we get paid, started building capital. And by the time we build that capital, we are now ready to start rolling, and people trusted our service. So the whole point here is your ability to show people you have the right knowledge and that you can deliver on whatever you promise. So really and truly, as MSMEs are key economic drivers. And over here, I'm more than happy to also work with Tongston, and I'm sure we can do a lot of things together to see how we can build MSMEs. And one simple way to even do it is setting up these businesses, getting the right people, invest in them, look for funds, support them, invest in them, and then build them over time. And then the story keeps going. And before you know it, you build a whole network of businesses that will drive the economy. So I think that's it. Thank you so much. And it's a pleasure being here.
Please, one more time, let us appreciate him for that wonderful presentation. I don't know about you, but I've learned so many things from this presentation thus far, so much so that I'm already considering myself an entrepreneurial MC. So since we are all here trying to learn, I would like to point out some of the things that I noticed from his presentation that I really enjoyed, and I don't know about you, maybe it will resonate with you too. He said that MSMEs are a fundamental part of Nigeria's economy. So if you have the means to assist small growing business, please do, because you are already helping the Nigerian economy in a way like that. He said they represent 90% of all farms globally and provide roughly 70% of employment. And when there is no employment in the country, it's because we have not empowered the MSMEs enough, because they are the one that would employ all the unemployed youth in society. He said we can build solid businesses with an entrepreneurial mindset, and that is what Tongston represents. And that is why I said earlier on that as I'm standing in front of you, I'm an entrepreneurial MC. And if you are a journalist, please be ready to become an entrepreneurial journalist. And if you're a teacher, please be ready to become an entrepreneurial teacher. Please, whatever your profession is, be ready to make an entrepreneurial mindset the second, what do you call it now? The second profession that you work with. Now, the last one that I want to mention from his presentation, I don't want to talk too much today. I've been accused in the past that I talk too much, so I don't want to talk too much because of time. He also listed that there are so many sectors for possible funding. And if you are in a position to participate in this, like Tongston is doing already, we are already channeling the cost for that. We are already working with so many SMEs. We are already working with government institutions, including the University of Gombe State. We want to work with so many other institutions, and that is the essence of this kind of gathering. So please, one more time, without wasting much of our time, let us first appreciate Dr. Zulfik. I don't know if I'm correct with the pronunciation of the name. Okay, let me give it to you.
Dr. Zulkifu. Zulkifu.
Okay. Okay, it's Mr. Zulkifl, right? Am I right? Please appreciate me for getting it right this time around. All right, before we move on, we would like to quickly present some awards. In our regular culture, we would present the award to Mr. Zulkifl Abba for his wonderful presentation. Let us appreciate him. Please let us appreciate him. I want to remind you that we are streaming live on all social media. In case you want to catch up with all that we have discussed thus far, if you are not here on time, you can catch up with all the things that we have discussed in the past. We are streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. The next person, please, see you are not leaving yet. Sorry. The next person is Miss Maureen Chukwuemeka. Please come forward for your award presentation. All right, thank you very much, the CEO. Thank you. We are really using you judiciously today. All right, now moving on to the next thing on our agenda before we go for a well-deserved break. There is somebody in our midst, somebody I look up to, someone that I've learned a lot from as a teacher. Before I call myself an MC, I was a teacher, and this person has really added value to me as a person and to many of other of my colleagues that are teachers. And in this profession, training and retraining and learning from the mentors is actually one of the most important things. And this man positioned himself in such a way that we were able to learn from him. I'm talking about none other than Dr. Smith Bam. He is the CEO of Pearl Consulting. I don't know if I'm getting the name right. Is it Purd or P-U-R-D? Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Smith Bam. He's coming here to make a speech. That is my mentor. If you're not clapping, I'll be angry. That is someone I look up to. Okay, the CEO said she's our mentor. Please let us appreciate Dr. Smith Bam.
Good morning, everyone. How will I do this? Okay. This is what teachers have to do. You have to improvise and think on your feet. I thought I had 30 minutes. And then I saw the program now and I saw 5 minutes. All right. What do we do? Okay. I think the best thing for me to do at this point is to first of all appreciate Tongston for what this company is trying to do. I think they're crazy. I've told him several times, what you're doing is not Nigerian. This is not appreciated in the environment, and I promise always be there for you. And I hope that as many as are here, we will not just come here, but will support this young man in this quest, to help improve this country. For every parent that is here this morning, I've had to work with essentially youth, and I hope we are all familiar with the fact that the average youth in this country, especially in university, has a slogan, and they say school is scam. The average parent here would not like to hear that, but the younger generation are tired of going to school. We may not like it, but that's the reality. Schools seem to work for our fathers. School seems to be disconnected with the current youths. And that's an argument people don't want to have. That's a debate nobody wants to talk about. The question is, why are these youths saying school is a scam? Why? What happened? What happened to the noble profession? What happened? I have worked with them, I interacted with quite a number of them, and there are two things these youths keep complaining about. The first, they have too many elder ones that are jobless. Whether you like it or not, when you have 6 children and the first 3 graduated with flying colors and they're useless, the other ones don't want to go to school because they see their elder ones who are 27 years old but still dependent on their grandfathers, still waiting. I remember when we were graduating from school, well, I have elders here who have done better than I did. You left university and you never came back home. You were supposed to go and fend for yourself and become a man on your own. But our current graduates cannot. They leave school and come back home because they can't find a job. And I've told the graduates several times, I said, look, there are jobs, but then you see the argument is, the ones that have gone ahead are not doing well, so why do I have to stay in school? The second thing, or perhaps the second reason they are saying school is a scam is, it's as if paper doesn't turn to money. So they have degrees, and yet there's no money. And I am a teacher, and people like me stand in front of students every day, and we try to make them to become like us. And our salary is 45,000. And we tell the students, when I was your age, we used to read a lot. And they look at what we have become. And they swear never to be like this. The average teacher knows chemistry, but is a useless scientist. There's nothing associated to his name in science. Yet he forces the children to cram for WAEC. Our kids are tired of school. Our students need to become entrepreneurs. People that can turn ideas to value and profitable. And school seems not to be able to do that. Well, I don't talk about problems too much. I think that's why Tongston is around, to ensure that our students, our youth are no longer useless, but they can turn their ideas, they can generate ideas and become self-employed and become entrepreneurs. As at yesterday night, I was still chatting with Mr. Bello, and he said, well, teachers should become entrepreneurs. And I said, how? You resume at 7, you close at 5. How do you become an entrepreneur? The average teacher was trained to never take a risk. An entrepreneur is a risk taker. The average teacher works with a curriculum that is certain. Entrepreneurship is uncertain. The Dangotes of this world have entered into uncertainty and they are still swimming against uncertainty, yet there's no sign of success. To be an entrepreneur, you have to be a little bit not so fine in your brain. But then, Tongston, I promise to always be there to support you. And I just hope that the youth here will tag onto this guy so that school will not just be a scam. School can actually be a solution if we know what to do with school. Thank you very much. Where is that MC that talks a lot? Better be careful, stop talking too much. Come back to class.
I actually wanted to continue talking because please let us appreciate Dr. Smith-Bam. I'm still in class. I'm not leaving, but it's just and then one of my students walked to him and said, sir, we should do this. We should mix carbon and whatever together. Sir, what soap or what company do you have that produce all these things that you are asking us to do? And the teacher was so angry. Why would you say that to me? But the truth of the matter is, if you're a chemistry teacher, you can as well apply your own knowledge to better the society. Maybe produce something that will cure acne, or at least something that will benefit the society in a way. So please, let us go ahead and continue to remain entrepreneurial in our approach. Please, one more time, let us appreciate Dr. Smith-Bam. So I will continue to recognize the presence of people. I said the protocol is not going to be like the general protocol that we'll continue to acknowledge people as they step in. In our midst, I have to appreciate the presence of Hajia Yagana Ibrahim Abba, retired Permanent Secretary of Education, Borno State Government. Please let us appreciate her, our mother. Thank you for coming, ma. I don't know. I think I've appreciated Comrade Ubechi earlier on, and I've appreciated the presence of Malam Ladan Ashafa earlier on. So as soon as we have new people coming in, I'll continue to appreciate your presence. Now, all right. Before we move on, I would like to call on Dr. Smith-Bam so that he can receive his award from Tongston. He has been able to bless us with some wonderful, wonderful conversation based on how to go on and educate our children. So let us appreciate him. Dr. Smith-Bam, your award. And I will continue to talk because that's what you taught me. You say, continue speaking. I will never stop talking. Thank you very much for coming, sir. We really appreciate you. All right. It's time for us to move on the agenda. Today we are learning. We are going to continue to learn. Okay. I've just received an information that all our delegates should please fill the form that is given to them. It's very important because we need to use the form for further activities. Thank you very much. Moving on, the next thing on our agenda is we are going to introduce us to the first panelist. Remember, we said today we are going to have a summit, and we have a group of people that would be part of our first panelists for today's event. Immediately after that, we are going to go for our tea break. It's very important so that we can re-energize and rejuvenate ourselves. Now, this panelist will be talking on the role of media in education and enterprise development. So they will be talking on the role of media and education and enterprise development. This is when we come back from the big break. The names are Mr. Bello Shehu Ilela is the Director General, National Broadcasting Commission. I don't know if he's present here today, but Dr. Ordinary Ahmed Isa, the voice of the voiceless, Brekete Family, Human Rights Radio and TV. He'll be here to talk to us about that by the special grace of God. The next person is Malam Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, is the Director General of Nigerian Television Authority. And we have Camry Apollo, who is the CEO, Westbrook and Mash. So, but before we do that, let us take some 10 minutes tea break. It's very important. We wet our saliva a little bit before we come back and learn more and listen more to professionals in different okay, so the message I got from the kitchen is that delegates should hold on. You'll be directed on where to go and get your food, but all our dignitaries should remain here so that they bring the food to them. It's just a short snack break. We are not going to spend more than 15 minutes for that, and then we'll come back and continue with the program. And God bless you.